The evening buzzed with quiet sophistication. Crystal chandeliers bathed the room in a soft golden hue, while the gentle clink of silverware harmonized with a live piano whispering in the background. Waiters moved with mechanical grace, their uniforms crisp, their expressions colder than the ice in the champagne flutes. Through the grand entrance, a man stepped in simple jeans, an old black blazer, and worn boots. His hair hung loosely to his shoulders, his face partly hidden beneath a modest cap. No entourage, no reservation announcement, just a quiet nod to the host. Sir, can I help you?" The host asked, glancing him up and down. He smiled. "Warm but faint. Just here for dinner." A quick glance down the guest list. No name, no designer labels, no VIP glow. The host paused, unsure, before gesturing toward the least desirable table near the kitchen doors. The man said nothing, offered another soft thank you, and made his way across the marble floor, unnoticed by the glittering crowd around him. Number. Camera phones turned, no heads lifted. Just another nobody. Or so they thought. The waiter arrived with a frown already forming, holding a menu like it was something too valuable to waste. His eyes scanned Keanu from head to toe. Faded jeans, scuffed boots, no Rolex in sight. To the waiter, this wasn't a guest. It was an inconvenience. "Look, this section is kind of reserved for, well, you know, our usual guests," he muttered, his tone laced with disdain. Keanu didn't flinch. "Anywhere is fine." With a sigh loud enough for nearby diners to hear, the waiter grabbed the chair near the swinging kitchen doors, the one where heat, noise, and occasional grease smells poured out with every passing tray. "Here," he said, pulling the chair out half-heartedly. "Try not to block the aisle." No water offered. No smile. No sense of welcome. As the waiter walked away, he scoffed under his breath to another server. Every day it's someone trying to get a taste of the high life. Keanu simply sat, calm and still, like he'd heard it all before. Keanu sat with quiet composure, his eyes calmly drifting around the room. He watched as guests in designer suits were greeted with warm smiles, napkins laid across laps, glasses filled before they were even half empty. A couple at the next table laughed as the waiter recited wine pairings with theatrical flair. Further down, a group of executives clinked their glasses as another server crouched slightly, speaking to them like they were royalty. Meanwhile, Keanu's glass remained empty. No one asked if he'd like to order. Plates clattered behind him. From the kitchen, the constant rush of footsteps brushing past his table without a glance. But he didn't complain. He didn't signal anyone over. His posture stayed relaxed, hands gently folded on the table, the corners of his mouth almost forming a smile, not of amusement, but of understanding. He noticed everything. The glances, the whispered judgments, the hierarchy in service. Yet, he sat in silence, humble, patient like a man who had nothing to prove. When Keanu finally raised his hand to order, the waiter approached with a forced smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Yes?" the waiter asked, glancing around as if hoping someone more important would call him away. Keanu politely asked for a simple pasta dish and a glass of red wine. The waiter raised an eyebrow, looked him up and down, then let out a short, dry chuckle. "You sure?" he said, voice low but biting. "It's not exactly cheap. Just letting you know up front, we get a lot of window shoppers." Keanu nodded, unbothered. "That's fine," he said gently. The waiter didn't write anything down. He just gave a quick nod and walked away. No confirmation, no follow-up questions, no warmth. Minutes passed. Then more. Glasses were refilled at every other table. Dishes arrived steaming hot for people who'd walked in long after Keanu. But for him? Nothing. A couple nearby even whispered, glancing in his direction. One of them murmured, "That guy still hasn't gotten his food. Bet he tried to order something he can't pay for." Still, Keanu sat quietly. Not once did he raise his voice or call anyone out. But the longer the delay, the clearer the disrespect, and the tension in the room began to build. Across the room, the restaurant manager stood behind the bar, casually scanning the floor. It was a slow moment between service waves, and his eyes drifted over the table's wine glasses clinking, plates being cleared, staff moving with practiced ease. Then his gaze paused at that man near the kitchen. Something about him didn't fit, not because of his clothes, which were plain but clean, or his quiet demeanor. It was the way he sat, calm, still, unbothered by the chaos around him. The kind of presence that doesn't demand attention, but commands it anyway. The manager squinted slightly, tilting his head. His brain started connecting vague dots. The familiar face, the posture, the kind smile exchanged with the hostess earlier, the way other customers kept stealing curious glances. He stepped out from behind the bar, walking a bit closer under the pretense of checking a nearby table. As he passed by, he caught a better look at the man's face. His heart skipped. Was that Keanu Reeves? No, it couldn't be. What would someone like him be doing here, alone, without security, and dressed so modestly? Still, the doubt settled in, and the unease started growing, especially when he saw the waiter from earlier smirking near the kitchen, clearly avoiding the table. The manager didn't say anything yet, but his posture stiffened. Something was definitely off, and it was time to look into it. Just as the manager began making his way toward the quiet guests' table, the restaurant's heavy front doors swung open. In walked a sharply dressed man in his 40s, confident, smiling, and clearly familiar with the place. He greeted a couple of staff by name, then scanned the room, and his eyes lit up. "There you are," he called warmly, heading straight for the man seated near the kitchen. The waiter, polishing glasses behind the bar, turned at the sound and froze. The man walked up to the humble guest and extended his hand, not with the stiffness of a customer to celebrity moment, but with the ease of someone greeting an old friend, or more importantly, a respected equal. "Keanu," he smiled, "you came earlier than I expected. Everyone's going to be thrilled you're finally here." Keanu stood up with a gentle smile and shook his hand. "Didn't want to make a scene," he said quietly. The room seemed to slow. The waiter's jaw clenched. His face paled. The realization hit like a truck. Keanu Reeves, the owner, the man he'd disrespected, ignored, and mocked, was the actual owner of the restaurant. And not just that, everyone around them was now paying attention. Whispers started, glances turned, and the once dismissive staff now stood awkwardly still, watching the scene unfold. Keanu didn't gloat. He didn't need to. His quiet presence, now fully recognized, said everything. And for the waiter, the truth bomb had just detonated publicly, painfully, and completely. The manager's expression hardened the moment the pieces clicked. He looked at the waiter, then back at Keanu. "I'm so sorry," the manager said, voice low but firm. "We had no idea you were here." "If I had known," Keanu raised a hand gently. "It's okay," he said. "I wasn't here for attention. I just wanted to experience the place like anyone else would." That sentence hung in the air. Everyone turned toward the waiter, who now stood frozen near the bar, eyes darting like a cornered animal. His earlier arrogance had vanished. What replaced it was panic. The manager walked over to him. "You knew better," he said, quietly but coldly. "You treated him like a nobody. Not just him, this is how you treat people when you think no one's watching." The waiter stammered. I didn't know he looked like..." "Like what?" Keanu asked calmly, stepping forward. "Someone who didn't deserve respect." Silence. The weight of those words crushed the last bit of bravado. The waiter had left. His face turned red. He couldn't even look Keanu in the eye. The manager didn't shout. He didn't need to. "Take off your apron," he said simply. "We'll talk in my office." The waiter's hands trembled as he unfastened his apron and set it on the counter, eyes down the entire time. The walk to the back felt like a slow march of shame. Keanu didn't watch him go. He just returned to his seat quietly, as if nothing had happened. But everyone in the room knew something big had happened. And it changed the atmosphere instantly. The restaurant had fallen into a heavy hush. You could hear glasses clinking. Softly, but no one was speaking. All eyes were on Keanu Reeves. The manager returned, looking shaken but composed. "Mr. Reeves, again, we sincerely apologize. Your meal is on the house, of course." Keanu shook his head. "That's not why I came here." He stood up slowly, looking around the restaurant, at the waitstaff, the diners, the stunned silence. Then he spoke. "You never really know who someone is, and it shouldn't matter. Whether I'm a janitor or an actor, a stranger walking in. For a meal still deserves basic respect." The weight of his voice wasn't in how loud he was, but how calm, how steady. Everyone felt it. He turned to the manager. "I wasn't offended for me. I was disappointed for everyone else this happens to, who doesn't get a second chance because they don't have a familiar face." He paused for just a breath, then added, "Kindness doesn't cost you anything, but disrespect? That comes with a price." Mic dropped. Without waiting for applause or pity, Keanu gave a small nod, placed a generous tip on the table, and walked out the way he came in, quiet, humble, powerful. No bodyguards, no entourage, just a man who reminded everyone in that luxury restaurant what real class looks like.